and everything went black.
Wah.
I must. Perhaps, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time.
Kenapa?
And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I
Mati Stanley cuy. Wow. Wow. F1. Apa itu F1?
All of his co-workers were gone.
Okay.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
Wah, gue
missed a
curiga
memo.
nih. Yaudah kali ini kita ikutin cuy. Tadi kita meninggal cuy. Wah.
When
Pilih yang.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Yap, left terus. Kita cari dulu teman-teman. Kemana semua orang ini pergi ya? Wah. Kita dibunuh dong, mati kita cuy. Gara-gara nolak dia. Oke, ke tempat rapat. Nggak ada orang nih bos.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Ke tempat bos. Bentar, aku mau ngeliat tuh ya. Be quarterly post review. Teenagers as of demonization space between the teenagers. Throw something in the bin still. Nomor bin that cans. Wow. Oke. Ini kayak PowerPoint 2007 cuy. 2008 ya. Iya ini pas gue SD bikin gini-ginian cuy. Oke, kita suruh tempat bosnya katanya di atas. Broom close. Gak bisa gue sini. Oh bisa gue buka ternyata.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Oke, back on track. Sip. Kita suruh ke atas katanya guys.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Bawah ada apa? Kamera.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that it had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream.
Mimpi.
What a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought.
Wow.
And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course,
Kita dari
this
Matrix
was
cuy.
not a dream. How could it be? Was
Nggak
Stanley
tahu.
simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for
Bayangin
himself?
kita tidur.
Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life.
Looping terus cuy.
Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream.
Oke.
So he closed his eyes gently,
Untuk
and he
mata.
invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one.
Jadi kalau kita ngebantah dia teman-teman,
me wake
langsung
up,
dapat
he thought
ending
to
buruk cuy.
I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons.
Wow.
Please. It's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife
My
and
job.
my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been.
Kita
My
kayak
life
kayak
is
dicuci otak
normal.
cuy.
I am normal.
Tuh.
Everything will be fine.
Jadi kita nggak boleh kemana-mana cuy, nggak boleh
I
pergi dari
am
tempat itu.
Okay.
I am okay. Sure. Lah, terus?
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an
Wah, nggak
office.
dibangunin
I
kita,
am
cuy.
real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Wah,
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Mariella.
Mariella
Stan.
woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work.
Lain
But
gua.
on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon
Masih
turn to
mati.
go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am
Kita
sane.
nggak normal ya.
I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't.
Jadi kita,
It was
dia kayak
comforting
ngejelasin
to
kalau
think
misalnya
this,
kita
and
ngelawan
in a
dia,
certain
inilah yang
way,
bakal terjadi
seeing
gitu
this
loh cuy.
man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Wow. Itulah teman-teman yang terjadi ya. Mencoba keluar dari matrix tersebut. Yang terjadi kita malah dibuang ya. Oke, kita lanjut lagi. Kita ke tempat
All of his
yang
co-workers
pilihan
were
kursi.
gone.
Kita
What could it
pilih
mean?
yang sebelah kiri
Stanley
teman-teman.
decided to go to
Kali
the
ini
meeting
kita
room.
untuk
Perhaps
memutuskan
he'd simply
gimana
missed a
caranya
memo.
kita ngikutin dia. Kita ke tempatnya coworker ya. Pilih yang kiri.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Yap. Left, terus gue sini dulu ke tempat bos. Kita pura-pura cari.
Yet
Kok nggak
there
ada
was not
orang
a
di sini?
single person here either.
Oke.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oke, teman-teman, kita sampai sini, kita suruh lihat ke atas. Kita kali ini ikutin dia cuy ya. Naikin ke atas. Ada apa di atas ini teman-teman? Bos. Bos. Executive bedroom. The to be rich is the crime. To commit crime isn't it rich? What life would be to have to pick just one. Oke, nggak ada kaca di sini teman. Wow. Oke, bos. Kok nggak ada orderan masuk nih bos? Oke, tutup semua guys. Bos, halo. Bentar, gua kecilin lagi itu gua. Nah, lebih enak kayaknya nih. Oke. Ada gambar panda ditembak pakai pistol, pakai Glock. Ding dong. Ntar dulu, gue mau ngecek sana dulu. Oh, ini bos gue nih kayaknya nih. Bos.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
Yep.
Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him?
Yep.
What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number.
Extra secret.
2845. But of course,
4,
Stanley
5.
couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Gue curiga gue dapat ending buruk lagi teman-teman. Di sini tadi dia bilang tuh kita nggak tahu jalan, nggak tahu kodenya. Tapi kita di sini gue menganggap kalau gue bisa denger dia. Oke, let's go. Oh enggak. Oke. Wow, loading. Wow, ini game keren sih.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Oke. Mati lagi di sini. Halo pak, aku sendirian nih pak. Gue salah pilih jalan cuy.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape. Mind Control. Escape. Mind Control. Escape. Kita mau keluar sini. Keluar.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Violent deaths. Gue menuju ke kematian gue lagi, iya kak. Apakah kali ini benar-benar gue bakal mati cuy?
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Berarti jalan gue bener
At
cuy.
this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Gak. Gue tahu ini kebebasan gue. Let's go. Mati kah? The end is never end. Wow. Oh enggak dong. Oke. Apakah
As
kita
the
bakal
machine
bebas ya?
whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is.
Wah, mau dikepengin
Perhaps
dia,
his
cuy.
death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life.
No.
Farewell, Stanley.
No. I'm dead. Oke, masih hidup.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Oh, itu perempuan nyelamatin kita kah?